against the Kangaroos continued to a 17th game on the weekend in Tasmania after the Demons looked in a winning position in the last quarter. A chance to consolidate a top 4 spot was squandered, with the battle to remain in the 8, the number 1 spot on the agenda. Simon Goodwin, their coach, joins us in his first year. Goody, welcome to the couch.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks, boys.
A tough ordeal on the weekend. Did you feel you were a little bit flat going into the match?
Yeah, we certainly seemed that way. Without question, it was always going to be a challenging game. You know, the conditions were tough down in Hobart, and we know North Melbourne in their last 4 games have been really good around the footy. And really, in those conditions, that's what it comes down to. And it probably wasn't our best day in that form of the game, and it let us down in critical moments, especially late in the game.
And we see some amazing runs between teams, and for whatever reason, why 17 in a row to North? In your time, what have they done, or how do they match up, or what is it that Melbourne doesn't like about them?
We haven't really spoken too much about that. You know, as a club, we've probably faced a lot of those hoodoos throughout the year. You know, St Kilda won a lot of games against us previously. Etihad Stadium, we couldn't win there, and we've just got another one. You know, I think when we become a really good footy club and a really consistent team, those things will become irrelevant. But to North's credit, they play really well. They're an experienced midfield group. They have had for a number of years now, and in their key positions, they've got some experienced players there as well, and they've caused us grief at critical moments. You've
got a great understanding, obviously, of where you're at. You're one of the youngest sides in the competition, and you look like you're a patient coach. Fair to say I spoke to a few Melbourne supporters today, not quite as patient as you. How did you respond to the loss afterwards? Because I think they're all of the view that the voice should be raised and fingers should be pointed.
Oh, clearly we were disappointed as a footy club. You know, it was a great opportunity for us on the weekend, and but we're pretty clear with where we're at. We know we're still in a growing and developing phase in our footy club, and that's been the direction of the footy club right from the start of the year, and that hasn't changed. We wanted to establish a brand of play and how we want to be seen, and hopefully something's identifiable to our supporters and the media alike, and I think we're well on the way to doing that, but we still know we've got a long way to go. But that doesn't mean we can't have success, and that doesn't mean we aren't impatient and we want to fast track things. We're well on the way.
Goody, it's interesting, being a very windy day, and interesting to see what sort of, I suppose, strategy the sides put in place when they were against the wind. Why was Jordan Lewis chosen as the loose man, especially when you're against the wind?
He certainly plays it incredibly well with his positioning. He's our most experienced player, and he's done it for us at times throughout the year. And you know, he sets up his people around him, his teammates, really well with his leadership and his voice and direction. And for the majority of the time, he performed it really strongly. You know, ultimately, you know, Ben Brown caused a few problems for us. As you saw, he was best on the ground. So both teams employed a similar strategy into the wind. They probably executed a little bit better than us.
Did you ever think at any stage, like just the balance of it, like Jordan Lewis probably not known for his aerial work, do you ever think about changing to a taller player back there, especially when against that heavy wind?
Yeah, we certainly spoke about it at length. You know, Tom McDonald's someone that we thought about moving back there. But it was funny, you know, he looked the only one likely forward of the ball to take a mark for us on the day. So it was one of those things that we had to weigh up both going forward and in defence.
Had a look at this season 6 weeks ago, and you say, OK, Melbourne got their most important player to come back, Max Gawn. They've held up in the clearance area while he's been out. But since he's come back, it hasn't really translated into this dominance that we all thought was going to happen. And you can see, we'll put up a graphic here just to show what's happened with him and what it was like without him. You seem to cope better when he wasn't there.
Yeah, we really looked at that period when Max was out of the team to grow a new skill set with our midfielders, and we thought we did that. We were reading opposition hand, and our craft was elite. And you know, with Max back in the team, we lost a lot of our midfielders at the same time. So he's come back in, and we've just lost that continuity with our midfield group. But he's an incredible player, Max, and we love him. And once we get that connection back, we saw parts of it coming back against Port Adelaide. But probably not so much on the weekend.
What can he do to your midfield mix? Will he be more aggressive than what we've seen historically?
Oh, without doubt, he enables our midfield to be proactive, and we know when we've got our full contingent of midfielders in, they are really aggressive moving midfield, and he brings that connection, he brings that spirit to that group, and you know, he's really finding his way back into form after a long time out with a pretty serious injury for a big guy. So to actually come back in, it's taken a little bit of time, but he's on the way.
Goody, we've seen a few of your players transgress this year. I think Bernie Vince and Jordan Lewis, 2 of the more recent that were suspended. Do you want to play unsociable football or aggressive football or players on the edge? Is that what you're looking for?
we're certainly not going out there to play unsociable football. We're going out there to play in a hard contested brand. Now, clearly we've had some undisciplined acts which have affected the team, and it's probably not what we stand for, but we still want to have that aggressive mindset with how we go about our footy. And that's part of establishing how we want to be seen, but clearly we want to do that within the rules. We don't want players being suspended. It's not good for the team, and we've addressed that as a playing group and as a footy club.
The other thing that happens out in the ground, I see it every week, and I struggle to come to grips with it at times. It happens pre-game, the niggle that goes on, the smashing into each other, the bumping, all the little cheap shots that happen throughout the course of the game. Do you like seeing that? Do we just accept that that's part of the game now?
It's sort of become part of the game a bit this year. I think it's been a bit of a trend, but I think it'll come and go. I think it's starting to go already. I think we had a really big spike. I think Sydney probably started it, back when they wanted to really get back on track, and it evolved a little bit from then about not being intimidated. And I think it'll evolve again and change, but I think we're already starting to see now there's not as much in the last few weeks.
How are you going to handle the loss of Jesse Hogan?
Yeah, look, he's a really important player for us, Jesse. He's gone through an incredible amount, both personally and as a player this year. And it's things that you don't normally see a guy have to go through. He's a great person, but he's got a broken collarbone at the moment. But he's had a plate inserted on Sunday, and he won't be too far away. He's really positive about getting back and playing some footy for us. I thought his last 2 weeks he was starting to get back into some form. It
must have been tough to drop Cam Pedersen, though, because he was in great form. Brownie had a position for him in his best Melbourne side. He thought you were a bit harsh dropping him, but at least you have got a ready-made backup, not just for the forward spot, but probably a second-best option as far as backing up Max in the ruck.
Yeah, he's been really important to us, Cam. I thought his first 5 weeks when Max was out of the team was outstanding. And he probably just dropped his consistency in the last 4 weeks, but he's gone back at VFL level and performed strongly the last couple of weeks. But he's a mature player that understands how we want to play, and he's an important person to us.
You actually experimented early in the year with big Jake Spencer, who's taken an enormous amount of time to get to a point where he looks ready to go, but it looks as if you just can't play the two.
Yeah, it's a struggle at the moment. I think we're all seeing in the modern game at the moment the importance of forward pressure and how it sets up the game for you. And you watch Richmond play and their speed to get at people, and it's something that we've really focused in on as a club as well. And with the extra tool down there, it makes it incredibly difficult to do that. So, Jake's improving as a player, and he's been a great support for Max. And it was a real shame when Max got injured and Jake looked like he was going to step up to take his opportunity, that he got injured at the same time.
You want to leave your mark on the game from minute one. You come in, you made some change, you innovated off the centre bounce. Last year we saw you had the diamond behind the ball, and were prepared to let a couple of half-back flankers rush in and be outnumbered down back for a period of time. This year we've seen you have 7 off the back of the square, 8 at times, 9 within quarter, with game to game. The flexibility's been enormous. Most of the other coaches have seen this now and are adopting the same sorts of methods. What's next? Where does it go to? Are you looking at new things? Are you looking at something else to throw at the game?
We're continuing as a coaching group, and the coaches do a terrific job to look to be adventurous at times and try things. And people have been coming off the back of the square for a number of years now, and to the coaching group's credit, they wanted to look at it and add to it and really look at different phases of the game and how that might help. It helps. Some of the things we've tried have helped, other things haven't. Ultimately, we're a fundamentals-based club, but we want to still experiment and try things. Where it's going next, I'm not sure, but we'll continue to look and search and try things and hopefully find something in the not-too-distant future.
Talking a little more philosophically, when you entered the coaching arena, what is it you want to achieve from the game? What does Simon Goodwin, the coach, want to get out of the game?
I just love teaching the game. Obviously, I'm a competitor, but I was really passionate about being involved in a footy club that was starting from the bottom up and being part of a journey with a young group and a young footy club that we're trying to get to the pinnacle. For me, there's nothing more satisfying and fulfilling to be on a journey with a group and to have that ultimate success. And I love what I do. I go to work every day enjoying what I do and really enjoying the journey that we're on at the Melbourne Footy Club.
How much ownership did you have in the game style last year? Goody, Rue's getting towards the end of his coaching career, and obviously you were going to step up to the plate there. Did you have a major influence going forward in that regard?
Look, Rue's and I were incredibly close.
Yeah.
Clearly, We've got similar philosophies on the game and the way the club should evolve. And to Paul's credit, he certainly let me, certainly in the back half of last year, really adapt to some of the things in our game style that we're looking to do. And that was the great relationship that we had. And Paul's just been a terrific person for me to have at the footy club last year, because he enabled us to really grow and develop and put the team forward, in especially last year.
There may be opportunities for a couple of senior coaching positions at the end of this year. You're a young coach coming in and have got that job quite early. How will clubs know whether the right man's still out there in terms of the assistant coaches that we don't know a lot about? Would you look at going someone young? Has it been a challenge for you to come in with less experience than probably some of the guys you work with?
I've loved my time so far this year. I'm incredibly fortunate to be surrounded by some great footy people in key roles. In every key position at the footy club, we're well experienced with Peter Jackson, Josh Marnie, Todd Viney, Jason Taylor and Brendan McCartney. So we're incredibly experienced, and that really does well for a young coach and a young senior coach, and gives me great belief in what we're doing. So I've been able to go about my business. So I think it really comes down to your club structure. And I can only speak from a personal experience. I've been really blessed to have the people that I've had. In
the time you've been coaching, is there one coach out there that you find the most challenging? Who keeps your coach's box the busiest?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You sort of don't really go into the game thinking like that. But clearly, the guys that have been doing it for a long time, Alistair Clarkson, Chris Scott, the guys that are really experienced and that experienced team seem to know how to get it done at the right time of the game, especially. So they're the ones you certainly watch closely.
Tell us about the decision to go with co-captains this year. How'd you tell Nathan Jones? How was it received? And how's it worked for you throughout the year?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think, it's pretty well documented that we had a game of golf when I broke the news to him that we were going to go down this path, and it was a pretty tense game of golf. I must admit, we were actually partners, meant to be playing on a team. And we were playing against the McDonald's, and they must have thought, what are we doing? This is boring. But Jonesy, to his credit, we looked at our leadership model, and we wanted to have a club that grew in every area. And we wanted to get that shared leadership model where we could grow our leadership. And to Jonesy's credit, he's been outstanding this year. He's grown incredibly amount. We've been able to develop Jack Viney. The guys underneath Max Gawn, Tom McDonald have stepped up. And I'm really confident in the leadership group that we've got at our club and the emerging leaders that are coming through.
Just a clarification, I've known Jonesy for a long time, and I know he wouldn't lie to me, but my intel tells me after you told him, he sliced the next 6 off the tee into the trees. He tells us they were straight down the middle. Can you just clarify?
No, I was in the trees. Right. He was down the middle. He was hitting them with real anger, straight down the guts.
You might find it real difficult to get a partner to play golf with you over the next 6 months or so.
What about Angus Brayshaw? He's a name that 2 years ago we all thought was going to be dominating at the top of the tree for the Demons. He's had a lot of troubles with concussion. Is he going to get back this season?
Yeah, we're really hopeful. He's played 2 games in the VFL. Obviously, we're in uncharted territory with concussion. The key thing for Angus is building his confidence back up around the contested ball. That's his game, and playing with that real intensity. We're really hopeful to get him back. He's played 2 solid games at VFL footy, but ultimately, I reckon his intensity will determine when he's ready to play. And we're really confident that's not too far away.
Can you win it?
I think anyone can win it. I think you sit here this year and it's just such an even competition. We've got incredible belief as a footy club, but we still know we've got a lot of work to do and we're developing as a footy club. But you don't want to put limits on yourself as a club either. You want to continue to strive to be as best as you possibly can. And if that moment's now, then we'll go after it as hard as we can.
Probably need to win 3. Might get in with 2 wins. You've got a pretty tough draw starting with the Giants on the weekend.
Yeah, look, it's a tough draw, as I said. It's a really tight competition. The Giants are obviously, really coming last week. They played a lot better than what they had been previously, but they're an incredibly talented side. But it's a really important game, as is every game, and we've got 4 opportunities to put our best foot forward.
Been great to have you in, Simon. I think everybody's been thrilled with what they've seen from you in your first year, and we wish you well for the rest of this season and your coaching career.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.